the slide deck and some reminders of some things you need to know. So I'm going to mute myself and stop talking and let Matt have at it.
Thanks, Christy. I think there'll also be, before you shuffle off, there'll be a frequently asked questions document that we've been working on. I think that's going to be coming out here shortly as well. The questions, as you might imagine, are often the same about this project, and hopefully that'll save everybody some time when we get that published. But we're excited to introduce it to you today. I am Matt Fowler, the Executive Director of Triangle MLS, which is different than Paragon and different than the other MLSs in the area. And I have Christy Robertson Webster, who most of you probably know, and Alan Nielsen on the line. Alan is our Vice President of Multiple Listing Service. He's in charge of really everything that you guys touch when you're coming in to work at Triangle. So Christy's going to be my clicker today as we work through our slide deck about pepperoni, or pepperoni. That you can have whatever kind of pizza you want as long as it's pepperoni. And we're going to explain that and what in the world that has to do with MLS software as we move down the stack. So moving on, Christy, as the clicker. We're here to talk about choice today and why. So this is a clip from the PropTech South presentation that we did back in September 21st. And there are three really good reasons why. The first one is that we want to push the purchase decision of what MLS software you think works best for your business down closer to you. Alan and I and the MLS folks, together with the board of directors, have been making that decision in the past. Several years ago, they decided Paragon was the best one to use, and all 15,000 people had to switch their direct marketing campaigns and their contact lists and everything else over to Paragon. And what we're saying is we don't want to make that choice anymore. We want you to make that choice, and we're going to offer you the three leading vendors in the space to choose from. And we want to build a culture of competition among those three companies, and in the future probably more. So that they have to work for your business every day, not just every 3 to 5 years when the contract renewal comes up. That significantly changes the relationship with them, and at the same time, it deepens the relationship with them. We're currently negotiating a contract with Black Knight that's going to be for a longer term than we would have been comfortable with otherwise. But since it's not the only one and you can pick and choose, we really don't foresee a time when Black Knight's Paragon system wouldn't be active in the Triangle. So a long-term contract really changes the relationship with them significantly. Moving on, we have just come back from the Real Estate Standards Organization meeting out in San Diego. We benchmark ourselves against 522 other MLSs in the space. We're the 33rd largest. And the next slide shows a roundtable discussion that we had out there about choice. And the room started out with about 25 or 30 people in it. And by the end of the hour, we didn't have any more chairs to bring in. There were at least 100 people in there. And these are some of the largest MLSs in the country that are really interested in what we're doing. MRED, the California Regional MLS Listings based in Silicon Valley. These are thought leaders in the space, and we're doing something really interesting at Triangle. And I don't normally put a clip from my Facebook page in my broker presentations, but one more click and you'll see a quote that Sam said about us. When I was surprised the room was so full, Sam said, "You're going to be popular, Matt, if you keep doing things that we've been told can't be done." They can be done, and they're being done in a slightly different way in other places in the country. But the industry is watching us. And if you talk to your directors, talk to people that are plugged into the MLS industry, and they'll tell you that what we're doing is really disruptive, and it's making the MLS vendors work harder, frankly. So moving on, a lot of this is driven by RESO. The Real Estate Standards Organization is something I talk about a lot. RESO is that organization, reso.org. And it's mysterious what Alan and Matt and I do on these trips that we go on. And one of the things that we are working on is, just as an example for the work that had to be done to get us to the point where you can pick the software you want to use. We had to standardize the data. And if you look at just status, there are 556 statuses in the status drop-down list. If you add the status options and all those 522 MLSs together, and only 35 of those options are in 10 or more MLSs. So 400 of them are only in one. So that's a mess. That drop down list is just a huge mess. And what we're doing is straightening it out so that we whittled it down to 11 so that we can agree on what active under contract means and that we can publish that definition and that realtors all over the country will know what that means. More importantly, consumers who look at our data to try to make an important life decision will understand the phrase, and it will be one that they recognize from city to city, and they'll come to trust the language that we use in a more useful way. So that's what RESO is all about. When we're talking about RESO, it's about going through the 200 and something fields in the residential category alone and making sure that they fit with national norms, which lets us treat the data more like a plug than a wiring diagram. I have a billion metaphors for that relationship, but this diagram talks about front end of choice. And this is where we get the bulk of our questions regarding this concept. And there's only one way to load listings into the system after November 29th. And that is through the new Triangle listing maintenance tool. And it will be a tile on your dashboard that will show up on the morning of November 29th. We'll talk about those dates some more. And that's how you will add listings into the system, how you will change the price, status, whatever you need to edit on the listings. You will not be doing that activity through Paragon probably ever again. You can link from Paragon back to the listing maintenance tool. The listing maintenance tool will be back on your dashboard, but the listing edit, listing maintenance, inventory management activity will occur at this new tile that you can link to from the dashboard. And then once you've got the listings in the system, you can look at them through whatever front end, and the front ends are Paragon, Flex MLS, and Matrix, whichever one you choose. And let's talk about what it will look like for current Paragon users. So the next slide shows that if you're logging in the Triangle, everything starts at the dashboard. And the new MLS tiles will show up on that top row where you currently see Paragon, Builders Update, Rental Beast, and Market Stats. There'll be a new tile called Listing Maintenance. And that shows up for everybody who has a license or an account that lets you add or edit a listing. And then you'll see the Paragon button just like you see it now, but you'll also see a new button that says Try Flex MLS or a button that says Try Matrix, depending on who you are. In the future, you're going to see leads that will pop up on this dashboard because we're launching a new consumer portal in January, and buyers can connect with you. In the future, sellers will be able to connect with you through that portal, and you'll get those notices as you log into the dashboard. You'll also get notices when you reach certain milestones, like anniversaries in your membership, or when you've sold your 20th $1 million house. We'll let you know that happened and keep up with those things. New statistics are part of that. New alerts if your payment is due or your listing's in violation status. All that stuff kind of lives in the middle of the communication for the organization, which is that dashboard. And I think the next slide talks about if you're a Paragon user, you'll log in and you'll see two new tiles, Try Flex and Try CoreLogic Matrix System. Flex is a very popular MLS interface that's used by the North Carolina Regional and about 150 other MLSs across the country, including some really big ones like Phoenix and Miami. And if you like Flex, you can pick Flex as of November 29th. And if you're a Matrix subscriber, if you're coming in from Alamance, all those people are Matrix subscribers. Or if you're just located down near Fayetteville, or you are located near the Triad that's using a Matrix, then you can choose to turn off Paragon in the Triangle a subscription and use Matrix so that you're using Matrix in both places. To anticipate a very common question, just because Triad and Triangle are both using the Matrix product doesn't mean that Triad's data is in our instance of the Matrix product. It's not currently. The only data that you're going to be seeing in Triangle is the data that you see in Triangle now. We're going to maintain the Longleaf data share, so that's still going to be there in the new data set. All the Alamance data will just be commingled into the same data set that the rest of the Triangle data is. So on November 29th, it'll all be one piece. So I think the next slide has some more about the calendar. Some fight fake news. We want to make sure that you guys have the straight information, and Bix on the call, please make sure that you're telling your teams this. Dues are not expected to change in 2024 because of the work that we're doing here. We had a proposed budget yesterday that went to the board. It'll be approved in December, and we don't anticipate dues changes right now. Alamance people that are coming in are going to be paying Triangle dues instead of AMLS dues in the future. So those did change just a little bit. But for most people, dues haven't changed and aren't expected to. Matrix people can keep using Matrix, and Paragon people can keep using Paragon. If you're currently using Paragon right now, and almost all of you are, if you don't do anything at all and you don't open any of Christie's emails and you just ignore us entirely, nothing's going to break in November. You will find that it looks a little bit different. The maintenance button will be gone in Paragon, but everything should just keep chugging along if you if you use Paragon now and you want to continue to do that. So data entered into the new listing maintenance system will go into our system and then be copied everywhere. Paragon, Matrix, Flex, Realtor.com, Homes.com, all the IDX sites, all the places, Home Spotter, Home Snap, all the other places where the data is syndicated now. And if you're a data customer and you're getting your data through Bridge, you'll continue to get that data through Bridge for a while longer, like well into next year. If you're a Trestle customer, you'll continue to get the data through Trestle. So we're really trying to change as few things as possible during this transition to keep things from breaking. Christy. Big picture, we have a long schedule. I've been here almost 2 years, and we spent the first year doing planning, working on staffing. We hired several people, moved people to different seats on the bus, metaphorically. We did a lot of research, signed some contracts, and did a lot of discovery, where this year was all about execution. So we standardized the database to allow this automation. We installed a new billing system on August 7th. Now we're installing the new choice system on November 29th. And then next year, we're looking to see what you guys pick. Like, we have no idea how many people are going to leave Paragon and decide to use Matrix, or maybe decide to use your broker software instead of one of these primaries. We just really don't know what people are going to do. So we're going to respond to that during 2024 and try and see what stable operating looks like in 2025, where we'll probably take a look at what dues should be for the new regional organization and see what that looks like. And if we zoom in a little bit, you'll click once and then one more time. We're going to look at the next several months. So we've gone through August, we've gone through September, just closed out October with the CMLS meeting and the real estate standards meeting that I just mentioned. I think one more click puts us on the flag of today. And we're just about to go to the NAR meeting in Anaheim next week. We're also queued up to launch the Choice program. Then we've got a brand new consumer portal coming out in January, strat planning in January, and you may have heard we're changing our name. So Triangle will have a new brand beginning early next year. January 22nd, I believe, is launch day. And I think one more click, Christy, and you'll get a set of dates telling you that the database will be frozen on November 27th at 9 a.m. And that means that this is kind of the thing to write on the whiteboard, maybe in the office, that no listing changes are possible this year on November 27th or November 28th. So that's Monday and Tuesday. If you have listings that need to be added to the system, or that need to be a price change or a photo added or anything at all, remarks, you can't do it after 9 a.m. on Monday, November 27th, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning, November 29th, we will add that listing management tile to the dashboard. that will let you click through and get to the listing management forms. And also there'll be a try flex and try matrix button for Paragon people, a try Paragon, try flex button for matrix people. And if you don't want to go do that on November 29th, it's not a deadline. It's just the first date that you'll be able to do that. You'll have, we believe, until the end of the first quarter to finalize your decision about what platform or platforms, you can pick more than one, you might want to use going forward into 2024. January 18th is strategic planning for the whole team. November 29th is the first time, metaphorically, you can order your own pizza. So if you don't want pepperoni, if you don't want Paragon, is the concept, then you can come in and pick something else. Right now, it's going to be those three, but we already are talking to a couple of others interfaces that might be interesting. One of them is really pretty out of New York City called Perchwell. We're going to talk to those guys again in Anaheim next week, but this is a marketplace, not a bottleneck or a compulsory software that we're forcing you to use. We're just changing that whole environment. Then January 22nd is the big brand launch. This is about consumers. A lot of MLS subscribers are going to be very confused by the brand name because it doesn't sound like an MLS. It sounds like a consumer property product. And that's what we're trying to go for. Something that we can start telling the MLS's story out there in the marketplace about, like Bright did just to the north of us, that houses listed on the MLS sell for 80 something thousand dollars more than houses listed off the MLS. I think that's a story that we need to be telling, and that's what the new brand is about. I think we have some more ways to learn about this stuff on the next couple of slides. This is the link to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of shorts. We have a lot of video content. If you prefer watching videos than listening to podcasts, the next screen is our podcast. We have the URL to the Apple podcast page. We do 3 or 4 podcasts a month, and there's a lot of information out there about this project, about the services and products at Triangle, like Welcome Mat and Rental Beast, and also interviews like the two in this clip from Frank Road and Matt Williamson, who are both startup prop tech CEOs that are part of our little ecosystem, and we're trying to educate people about fractional ownership and how to get more people into houses. And you'll learn about that if you listen to the podcast. I think the next one's the calendar. No more links. So these are clickable in the document that Christy said she'd share, that you can follow and hopefully not be surprised as these things roll out in Q4 and Q1. The next one's the timeline. Yeah. So this is the timeline that we'll leave up for questions for the second half of the year here on the 8th of November. We're just rolling into November and December when really a lot of the fun stuff happens. We really are excited to see what you guys do and see if there's a mass migration to one platform or another. Frankly, we would be stunned if that happened. We've been talking to other MLS of choice organizations around the country like us, and while they're not exact analogs to what we're doing, there's enough evidence out there, I think, in Toronto and Miami and California to say that people probably will continue to use the one they've been using. And that's fine with us. We anticipate 90% of people staying on Paragon. The point is not that there's something wrong with Paragon or that Matrix is better. It's that we're the wrong people to make that decision. That's the point. And we want you to be able to go do that. We will be offering a lot of classes on all 3 of the user interfaces. And right now the calendar is crammed full of classes on the new FBS ad edit system, because that is new and everybody will have to use it. And it includes all the new RESO stuff, like no more contingent. It's now active under contract. And there are terms and things like that that you'll need to learn, as well as just a new form. So I think that takes us to where 22 minutes, not too bad. So we can get to questions like we did yesterday.